investment, self-improvement. It's the reason why you're here, right? It's the reason why you're part of this program. You're trying to learn, you're trying to get better. It's entrepreneurship is, I think, the greatest single personal development plan that you can be on, right? This is what we do as entrepreneurs. We're trying to get better. We're trying to improve. You're constantly being pushed into becoming a stronger version of you. Think about all the things that you've learned over the past year, 2 years, 5 years, how much you've grown, how much you've come out of your shell, and get excited for all the things that are still to come. Now I want to ramp that up. I want to ramp up your learning because we know learning is important. And you're probably already spending some time learning. I mean, you're here in this group and you're doing other things as well, I'm sure. But now we need to make it more valuable, more efficient, more productive. I think a lot of times what happens is people will pick up a book, right? Like this, Built to Serve, or they'll watch a live session like this that we did a couple weeks ago. And you might get excited or motivated and be off and doing something for an hour or a day. But how do you keep that consistent, ongoing, forever, building your movement? Your movement is going to take time to create. It's going to take a sustained, focused effort to make happen. And it's a direct reflection of the effort you're putting in, but also working smart, doing the right strategy and being consistent on it. So that's my quick preamble speech, but I'm excited for this topic. So let's dive in. Whenever you don't know what to do, number one is you start to model success, right? You don't have the answer to a question, you model success. You want to learn, you want to get better, you want to improve, you model success. You find somebody who's already done the thing that you want to do. And this is what saved my business. My very first business was modeling Bill Gates. And it might seem like a obvious strategy, but it's still something that I do now. It's still how I approach things right now. It's still why I do my YouTube channel. And I'm constantly trying to learn from the people on my wall, the people that I'm profiling on my channel, the people that I'm meeting up with and connecting with to model success, to find the people who've done it, learn their strategies and apply it. And I always look at three things. When I'm trying to model success, I look at how did they start, what did they do, and how did they think? How did they start, right? So Bill Gates this strategy came to me when I was at my lowest of the lows. Some of you may know my story, so I won't go into super deep, but I was 19, 20. My business was not working. I was struggling to survive. And I told my business partner that I quit. And I was trying to do everything myself and just working my face off. It wasn't for a lack of effort. I was working like crazy, but nothing seemed to be working. Nothing seemed to be getting results. Just no money every month, just nothing happening, nothing working. I was so frustrated that I told my business partner I quit. Not for anything that he did, just I needed to feel like I was a valuable human again. Like how many losses can you take in a row and not get any results? It just starts to beat on yourself, especially when you don't have a ton of life experience, right? So I quit on my business partner. I cried my eyes out. And then the next day I woke up and I said, I can't quit yet. I'm going to live with regret if I quit now, but I can't keep doing it the way I've been doing it because it's not effective. It's not working. It's not helping me. Obviously it's not working. So then I asked myself, who's built a software company before? And that's where I came across. The first idea was Bill Gates, Microsoft. He was at that time, this is 20 years ago, still very much in charge of the company. And I said, how did Bill Gates get started? Looking at how did that person get started? How did they go from 0 to 1? Because I looked at Bill Gates and I said, man, he's so big. He's built one of the biggest companies in the world. I'm nowhere close to that. It's easy for him. He's got a team, and how he makes an extra $1 million now. He probably makes $1 million just by having, a 4-minute coffee. Great. He's made $1 million, but 0 to 1, how did they do that? That's what I really cared about. And so I was researching his story. So then what did they do? What did they do? Bill Gates did it through partnerships. And every computer, their big deal came with IBM, where every IBM shipped. IBM was the biggest computer. IBM doesn't even sell computers anymore. They were the biggest computer manufacturer in the world. And every IBM shipped had Microsoft software on it. Right? That was the deal that blew up the company, that just put them into a new stratosphere. And so thinking about, okay, how can I partner with people if I was on their radar, if they sent my message to their audience, if they promoted my product or my service to their customers, that would blow up my company, right? That's what you can learn from Bill Gates. But Microsoft was already a $7 million company when they made that deal. So how did they get started, right? 7 million is great, but it's 7 million more than what I had right now, right at the beginning. So how did they go from 0 to 1? And it was still partnerships. It was just finding smaller partnerships. And so I said, okay, I'm willing to try it. I've tried everything. Nothing's working. Let's try partnerships. And shortly after I landed my first deal, $13,500, I felt like just money to me, right? I was making $300 a month. So 13.5K felt like a lot. But more importantly, I had a strategy that I could do again and again and again and again and again. And then another partnership and another deal, another deal, another deal. And finally, after all this time of no momentum, we suddenly had tons of momentum. All because I looked at Bill Gates and how we got started and what I could learn from his success. Sometimes in the modeling, they're going to be very specific and they'll tell you exactly what they did. And sometimes you need to read between the lines. So in looking at Elon Musk as an example, Elon Musk doesn't have a success book where he talks about how to be an entrepreneur, right? So you have to pull bits and pieces out. This is partly why I started my YouTube channel, is to pull out. We'll watch the 4 or 5 hours of Elon Musk interviews and turn that into a 15 to 20 minute video for you. And we'll pull out the best lessons and say, watch this, and here's where you can learn from it. So whoever has done what you want to do, both in terms of in your industry and also outside your industry. You may not like Bill Gates, or you may not care about Bill Gates, or you may not be in software, but you can still learn from his success. That partnership strategy, you should be asking yourself, who already has my target audience? And how can I work with that person to speed up my growth, right? How can I work with that person to speed up my growth? What can I do to bring value to them or make it in their best financial interest as well for them to help me promote my thing, right? It's in Built to Serve as well, partnership strategy. If you go to the last section, which is around how to monetize, there's the fast to freedom, there's partnerships, and then there's being a thought leader, right? So if you want to dive deeper in here, we got more. But you can learn from Bill Gates. So anybody who's in your industry you want to learn from, and also people who you just look up to, respect, like, even if they're not inside your industry. If you like Steve Jobs, you can learn from him. If you like Kanye West, President West, you can go learn from him. Even if you don't like him, you can still go learn from him, right? And so that ended up creating my top 10 channel, my main channel that then became the top 10 channel as well. So somebody has done what you want to do. Go study and learn from their success, but look at how they started. And then the last part is, so how did they start? What do they do? And then how do they think? What do they think? How do they think that's different than me, right? Bill Gates thinks differently than I do. That's what I want to learn. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to try to understand. Not just how did they execute their idea, but how do they think differently? So, for example, I wrote MITS code here on the slide. Their first deal was with the MITS Altair, which was another piece of hardware, another computer, and they needed software. And Bill Gates and his partner saw the MITS Altair on the cover of a scientific magazine, and they called up the MITS Altair and they said, "We've got code, we've got an operating system that you can use," and they hadn't built it yet. So they I don't know how to go that far in terms of lying, but they hadn't built it yet, and they were finishing it on the trip down to see the company. And then they presented it, and thankfully it worked, and they got their first deal. That's how they landed their first deal. And so you don't have to go all the way to say, okay, I'm going to be disingenuous and I'm not going to say I can do something that I can't. But I think what I learned from that was I was so worried at that time about being perfect. I was so worried about getting everything exactly right that I didn't release anything, that I didn't create, that I spent 3 months working on the business plan and never actually launched anything because I was so worried about making it perfect. And learning that from Bill Gates gave me the permission to be a little bit less perfect, to just get it up there, to just release it. I still lost a $40 million deal when I was 22 because I was being too perfect. But thinking about how they think, right? How do they think? How do they see problems? How do they go through the trials and tribulations of being an entrepreneur? And we try to cover that in the top 10 series as well, so you can learn from that. But most people only look at the tactics, what did they do, without looking at how does that person think. And so for anybody, again, who's done what you want to do, asking these 3 questions, start with your biggest heroes. Start with the people who you look up to and respect and admire the most. So if you love Oprah Winfrey, great. Go through the 3 questions. How did she start? What did she do? And how does she think? And you'll find, if you go back to that early stage version of them, of how they were trying to break out and how they did eventually break out, and you ask these 3 questions, you'll get a lot more insights for yourself. If you love Oprah, there's a reason why you love her. You can learn from her and apply that strategy to your business. If you want to watch the full 85-minute version of this video and train with me live twice a month to build your online audience, make money from it, and use it to change the world, you have to join my Movement Makers program. For more information, click the link right here below me. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.